Hey guys, Bullshit here. So even though I technically should be using my book for all of this, I can probably understand um, what is happening in the Resident Evil 7 and 8 because that I not only played Resident Evil 7, but I watched like 3 people play Resident Evil 8. Um, so basically, what I learned from for Marcus and what happened to the original Ashford, Alfred Ashford, I believe it is. I'm pretty sure it's close to that. Um, but I learned that the original Ashford was killed by the progenitor virus when it was first created. Spencer ended up letting it leak, and it ended up killing him. Um, and that's why he no longer lives. Um, and then I learned that James Marcus was literally the boss, like the final boss of Resident Evil Zero. Um, so basically, that's what happened to those two. That kills off the story from yesterday. Um, so in Resident Evil 7, basically Ethan Winters, his wife Mia is actually an Umbrella agent. She's on this cruise with her partner, and basically they're watching over this. I think it's E0, and her name's Evelyn. Basically, she creates a mold that hyperly destroys um, in the environment and organic material around her, and then she can gain. Um, I did not want to do that. I wanted to click out of it. Why is X is not available? It is literally an X. Anyways, basically, Evelyn is she can put mold in others and basically control them like a zombie. Um, while their brain isn't there, their cognitive kind their functions are still available. And basically, they end up letting it slip that her Mia and her partner were to be the parental uh, figures for her. But they basically said, "We don't care. You're not our kid." Basically, and they treated her like a monster other than just a kid. So she ends up getting a temper tantrum, destroying the vessel, killing several of the agents aboard, including Mia's partner. Takes a hold of Mia, and basically she infects Mia. The cruise ship that they're on ends up getting stranded in a bayou, which ends up running into the family of Resident Evil 7, the Bakers. Basically, they are staying the time. They're doing whatever they can to help Mia and Evelyn. But while they treat Evelyn as a kid, she's like, "All right, this is a family. I can, spread my gift with them," and basically infects all the Bakers. And while the two parents are easily overcome, Lucas, Zoe are their kids, and basically they have like a mental blockage to avoid getting completely controlled. Zoe wants to return back to normal, and Lucas wants to keep the gift because you can cut a freaking limb off and put it back on. So he's like, basically, it's the gift of life, and no reason for me to get very sensitive around something. Um, all right, but with all that said, basically Mia, whenever she's in the middle of releasing, like going to go die by Evelyn, or getting infected. She ends up sending Ethan a video last second, which reveals to him that she's still out there and alive. He goes hunting for her in the area, and basically finds the bayou that they're in, finds the Baker family, um, and basically gets captured and infected. But guess what? Spoilers for Resident Evil 8. Skip like 20 seconds. Ethan ends up getting his head stomped in by Jack, which means he died there. Which means he is fully infected by Evelyn to keep him alive. And he is now just a walking mess. So with all that said, back to the normal non-spoiler stuff. Basically, he goes around trying to stop the Baker family, get an escape, cure Mia and all that. He ends up destroying family member by family member, Elston Lucas. Lucas is a smart piece, and he ends up going to work with BSA, I think it is. He works for a separate organization trying to run against Umbrella and get all these bioweapons ready and all that. And then basically Zoe and Mia try to escape with Ethan because he ends up finding a cure that you make from the body and the head of an E sample, and he makes it. Basically, he's about to leave and cure both, but then Jack ends up being still alive, and he needs to cure/kill Jack and release him from his prison. And of course, this leaves one cure, which means either you choose Zoe or you choose Mia. And basically, you choose Zoe. Well, either way, Zoe's going to be contained back into the mold, and she's stuck there because she's been too shown, like the virus is already in her system and she can't leave the area. But Mia has a chance, and if you pick Mia, you're able to live your life out and then all that. But if you don't, you end up having to kill Mia whenever you try to approach Evelyn. And Evelyn ends up being that granny who was sitting at the table, but she's just, her age has rapidly degenerated, and basically she tries to kill Ethan, but Ethan over here gets a gift from Chris, a freaking gun that can take her out. And basically, I guess he's in the Umbrella now. I don't know why Chris is, but he ends up picking Ethan up and saying, all right, well, we're going to start you a new life and all that. The true ending is you choosing Mia, of course, because she's in Resident Evil 8. And basically, it's just the fact that Evelyn was supposed to be a contained bioweapon that ended up escaping because of a rage boost from Mia and her partner. They get stranded. The Bakers try to help them out, be civilized people, but get infected anyways. Lucas, there's a No Hero, I think it is, from it's a Chris DLC that I've played, and basically it's just he takes the Umbrella members that are under Chris, he kills them one by one over, like, you can do this. Basically, he plays Saw, and Chris gets into the same kind of situation, but he escapes and tries to take down Lucas, and at the very end he does end up killing him because he's out of control, and I guess he was teaming up with a separate organization. And then, of course, at the very end, it's just Evelyn's body was a non-suitable for the mold, and it was just rapidly killing off her body. And that's basically Resident Evil 7. Resident Evil 8 is a little bit different. If you guys didn't don't want to see it, just I'll see you guys in the next video. But basically, Ethan and Mia are doing their own little life. Umbrella's like, all right, you're gonna, because you've been infected or had some kind of experience with a bioweapon, we need you guys under our watch. That way, in case something happens, we know. Chris puts Ethan through military training in case they need him. And basically, at this point, I'm just going to spoil the entire series. Mother Miranda hears that they have a baby who has the virus, but because it is half human, half virus, she has the powers, but not the degrading factor that Evelyn has. And her name is Rose Winters, and basically, Mother Miranda kidnaps Mia, locks her up in the European area. I believe it's European because that's what everyone's saying in this village that she's always been in. And basically, she can transform into anyone thanks to the Megamycete, I believe it is. Basically, it's a strand of memories of DNA, of blood, and all that of people. And basically, she transforms into Mia, plays the part until she's about to steal Mia, but then Umbrella ends up popping in and saying, all right, you can't do that, Mother Miranda. Takes her down, takes the baby and Ethan and her, but the thing is, she ends up getting up, destroying the containment, taking Rose, and by the time Ethan gets up, she's already gone. And here they are in the village. Ethan goes to explore this village. All the villagers die because werewolves, or technically just infected beings. Because here's the thing, is Mother Miranda, thanks to the Megamycete, can create a Kadao, which is basically an infectious being that once it's put in a human, they transform in some odd way, and it depends on the DNA and physiology of that being. Basically, there's lichens, which are the zombie-like creatures with the scythes and all that. They can turn into the werewolves and all that. And they can become more buff. They have kind of abilities. And basically, the reason why she's doing this is because back in the Spanish flu, her daughter, Eva, ends up getting sick and killed by that sickness. And ever since then, she learns of the Megamycete that has her memory, and she wants to take from that and revive her daughter in the ways of a vessel. The thing is, every single lichen, every single person she's created so far has either a degenerative like Evelyn, or they're just an unsuitable host. And then she creates 4 lords, which are the most highest of the Kadaos that she's produced. The worst one is Moreau, who is basically his Kadao creates him to be a fish. He, at the point, I believe, was a child when he became a Kadao experiment. Because he acts like nothing but a child. His brain functionality has actually slowed down and lessened. And by the time that he becomes a complete vessel, he can't control fish transformation. He basically, it's toxic to be on land for too long, and he needs to be in the reservoir of the village to survive. And basically, he turns into this huge fish. And he tries to outshine. The thing is, he wants to still be Mother Miranda's child because that's the only figure of a parentage he has. And when he finds out about the vessel idea for Eva, he kind of gets jealous and wants to shut it down. But of course, it's his mother, so he tries to do his best. Then we have Donna. Hold on, I got the actual. Why? Benevento? I think it is. Basically, it's the creepy doll. Basically, it's a middle class to higher class family. Most of the family dies except for this daughter known as Donna. ends up being survivalist, but they have a sickness that basically could kill them off. Her father is the one who created the puppet, and her mother ends up being the first. Well, actually, no, it wasn't her. Their family just dies, I believe, and she's the last remaining resident of it. And basically, she gets this ability to be like a. Basically, she has a mental linkage. I'm trying to remember what it is. Telekinesis. She has the ability of telekinesis, and she can spread her kid out to her puppets that she creates. The thing is, she does have a an injury right here that just gets infected by the Kadao. Next is Carl Heisenberg. He's probably an adult or a elderly by the time his Kadao is entered, and basically he wants to be a normal person, but his life is taken by Mother Miranda. But he is the most powerfulest of the lords because his body is just that functionality, and he's the ability to mend metals of certain kinds. Basically, he's a telekinetic magnet, basically. Another thing about Moreau I didn't mention is he does have an acid that he can control. It's like a body fluid. It kind of works like the mold, but it's just like a puke that comes out of it. It's like an oil that comes out of his body, basically like a normal fish, but it's just like an adhesive and all that. Then we go to Lady Dimitrescu. Basically, she has a blood disease that killed off her entire family. She is a higher class person. That basically her get out, and she's thankful because not only is she going to be a high figure and a basically undying one, but because her family's blood disease, she does have to be basically a vampire and consume uninfected flesh. And basically she's given these daughters, basically, it's speculated that these are her original 3 daughters or just 3 maidens that were. And basically, they're to continue their lives. Flies eat their entire flesh, and basically they become. But they're so orderly as daughters that they follow her to whenever her point is. The thing is, those parasites / flies basically get petrified and frozen to death by any kind of cold air. Worst part because it's a colder village. But basically, all 4 of these vessels are bad because you have Moreau, who's just a fish that constantly can't control himself. He is a body that fails himself. Donna has a freaking infection right here, and also a mental illness. Heisenberg, even though he is quite out there, she somehow just doesn't seem him as a good vessel. Dimitrescu, not only is the fact that she needs healthy blood, but also she grows on a constant basis because of the fact that her regenerative abilities cancel out the illness, but she nonstop grows. And she can get into a transformation where she can't stop growing. So none of the vessels are good, and then she meets Rose. Basically, they do a ceremony to, because she's got the molds inside her, you take her apart, you're able to contain her in 4 different flasks that you give to the lords. The ceremony is about to begin. Put her back together. Not sacrifice her, but basically bring to the my seed, infect her with the memory and ideals of Eva. But Ethan kills all 4 lords, and as many Lycans as he can, saves Rose. But before he can completely finish it, he is killed by getting his heart taken out. Which, guess what? Then we have what I told you in Resident Evil 7, where he's dead by Jack. He can come back without his heart. That was I need to breathe more. Um, and basically, he's still alive because of the mold. The thing is, because of his heart, it ruins his molding functions, and he's no longer put together. So he basically starts disintegrating, and his body starts failing him. But he does end up taking Mother Miranda out, not before Chris ends up finding the Megamycete, and putting a thing on it, a huge explosive. He goes, gets Ethan and Rose, tries to track him out. Oh yeah, he finds Ethan, Mia alive in a cage, saves her, tries to save Ethan, but his body ends up failing him right at the last second. He takes the trigger and kills himself with the village and all that, Megamycete destroyed. But Mia, Rose, and Chris do get away, and they find out that the BSAA is doing stuff with the bioweapon. To kind of push it in there, and there he's like, all right, so not only are you supposed to go against it, but now you're sending them. I'm gonna go deal with them, and you might have done something with it. And I'm trying to see. Okay, so in the early 1950s, she ends up meeting Spencer, the man who died in Resident Evil 5 and was the head of Umbrella. And she's the reason why he learns of certain medicals and all that. So his studying furthers, and basically he says, thank you for this and that, Mother Miranda. But the thing is, she is eternal life at this point. And they're both scientists, but basically it's just they further on stuff. So let's see. In the early 1950s, Miranda met Spencer. He was a British noble doctor of medicine. Having gotten into a difficult hiking trip, Miranda saved his life from the cold, took him on as an apprentice, teaching him her research and her true goal. Through Spencer's deeply respected Miranda, he left her due to conflict of interest and ideology, as Miranda only wants to revive Eva, while he wants to change the whole humankind. Despite this, Spencer kept in touch with his mentor, still held as her as a high regard. So basically, Spencer meets her, she saves his life, but then they become basically partners in research. But while Spencer, he does other research for humankind, Miranda's nothing but her daughter. And that's what you learn on a side little area. So basically, Resident Evil 7 is the follow-up to Infectious. So the mold, the Megamycete, and Mother Miranda are connected. Basically, because of this area, Mother Miranda is like a invincible goddess, kind of, basically. Her daughter dies thanks to the Spanish flu. She meets Spencer. They do research. They get into this fungal and all that. Spencer does his stuff in the other Resident Evil games. She continues. The mold is spread and it goes into other projects like Evelyn. Evelyn is captured by Umbrella, then is put into. Then she freaks out, infects Mia, infects the Bakers. Ethan comes to try to save his wife, gets killed and is infected. He ends up finishing the Bakers, saving Mia. They go and do their life, but because of Umbrella and Mother Miranda, and the fact that they are infected with the mold, it gives their daughter the highest vessel capacity for Mother Miranda. She comes in, tries to take Rose. She goes back to the village. She has all these cadavers and all that in people, that way she can further research and experiment for her vessels. But with Rose, she doesn't have to worry about it anymore. So she kills off all the villagers, so there's no more humanity around her. The lords are basically going to be taken out, most likely, when she does get her daughter back. But they were the highest of value in the ways of vessels. Basically, Monroe was a child turned into a vessel, but he's like, because his body basically fails him. Donna is mental illness because of her family's death. Heisenberg is just unloyal. Democrest has a blood disease and also a nonstop regenerated um, growth. And basically, after destroying them and all that, Ethan has found out that he's nothing but fungus and somewhat corpse. And then Mother Miranda tries to kill him, but he comes back. But because his heart's gone, his body starts degenerating and failing him. He saves Rose, kills Mother Miranda. Chris takes and saves Mia and Rose. Ethan stays back to stop the fungal infection, Megamycete, and Mother Miranda, period. And the BSA, who's wanting to use bioweapons, even though that's their whole stance, they go to find out why. One last thing that I will say to add to the story is why is Umbrella good now? Oh, okay. Okay, so he gets a hold. He is working for Umbrella even though he doesn't want to, but he does handle the situation in Louisiana. He is still a member of BSSA. Oh, it is Blue Umbrella to handle the situation. I am trying to figure this out, people. Okay, so basically, Umbrella's good-willed, moral people that used to be an employee said, all right, let's right the wrongs of the original company. And they created a military company, a private one. They hired Chris to do whatever they can to get rid of all these. And let's see. He didn't trust them, but he does just to make sure he's helping. He does trust them a little bit because they do help him survive and get rid of some of the bioweapons from Resident Evil 7. So Umbrella is no longer the thing. Neo Umbrella is not a thing. This is Blue Umbrella, good version of Umbrella because their employees with good moral support came to do such. So I get it. Okay, so basically, Chris Redfield still fighting the bioweapon war. New military branch of Umbrella becomes a thing, and it's ex-employees of original Umbrella saying, "Let's right the wrongs." They hire Chris to help them, but because he's a BSSA, he should trust them. He trusts them more by the end of Not a Hero DLC on Resident Evil 7 because not only are they helping him, but they're also making sure they destroy the bioweapons. And then BSAA is over here trying to do bioweapon usage, which he doesn't like the idea of. So he goes to try to take them down at the end of Resident Evil 8, which we don't know if there's going to be a DLC or not. But it seems like he may be in a new DLC or in Resident Evil 9. So, that's it for this episode. That's a lot longer than the other one because I didn't write it down. but we did finish 3 stories, which is why Chris is with Umbrella, what happened to BSA, what happened to Ashford, and what happened to Marcus. But anyways, I got stuff to do. I want some freedom and free time. And then I'm going to try to go get some Super 2 of Dragon Ball Z done too. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.